All women are different, but they are all women. This video is androcentric from a men's point of view and is presented as opinion, commentary, and debate. Expressing opinions is not violence. These are ideas to challenge, question, and argue in public because classical liberalism relies on the First Amendment for its dialectic. If you are a feminist, then consider this. If patriarchy truly existed as claimed, feminism could not. And if all men are trash and women are equal to men, then what are we to conclude? Women will die for their children, men will die for their wives and children, and God chose to die for all mankind. Authority rolls up with responsibility. If this framing of facts offends you, click off to a cute cat video. Proceeding further will expose you to gamma bias and criticism directed at ideas, claims, institutions, not at any individual's virtue or dignity. Our method follows the 7 liberal arts: the trivium, grammar, logic, rhetoric, and the quadrivium, arithmetic, geometry, music, and astronomy, and the transcendentals, the good, true, and beautiful. If this framework is not for you, feel free to exit now. It's no disgrace. Women are wonderful. God bless America. Men are great. Feminismus delendus est. Chaos Creators. Women's External Blame Game, written by Conrad, Riker. Available now. Links in description. The red pill they buried alive. How feminine deception, leftist lies, and the death of truth are castrating men, and why Schopenhauer saw it coming. You know the moment when the woman you've carried through 3 therapy sessions, paid for dinner 6 times, and listened to cry about her toxic ex suddenly ghosts you, and 2 weeks later appears on Instagram with some gym nut influencer who once told her, "You're emotionally unavailable." And now she's posting Bible verses about divine alignment. You're not heartbroken, you're enlightened, the veil tears. You were never in love, you were in service, like a medieval serf tilling soil for a noble who wouldn't know your name. And the worst part, society calls you the problem, says you were too clingy, that you didn't communicate, that you weren't vulnerable enough. Vulnerable, vulnerable. I'll tell you what's vulnerable. Men who believe the lie that women are fragile flowers while they're actually playing 4D chess with your emotions, your wallet, and your future. Wake up. The data doesn't lie. 72% of divorces are initiated by women, NCHS, yet we're told men are the abandoners. Women receive 80% of child custody in split families, CDC. But somehow men are the ones who don't care. Men die by suicide at 3.5x, the rate of women, CDC, to 2023. Yet we get memes about toxic masculinity, not mental health support. Meanwhile, a man commenting, "Women are emotional" on Reddit gets banned, doxxed, and reported to his HR department, while a woman calling all men pigs gets a TED Talk. This isn't equality. This is warfare, and you're losing because you're fighting with your hands tied behind your back by fairy tales about true love, female innocence, and equality that are as real as Santa Claus and just as useful for keeping you obedient. I used to believe it too, until I read Schopenhauer's line. Women are directly and fundamentally immoral, not because they're evil, but because nature made them hypergamous, self-preserving, and relationally strategic in ways that feel like betrayal to a man who plays by honor. But nature doesn't care about your honor. It rewards the stag who fights, not the one who waits politely, and the modern West. It's not raising stags, it's gelding bulls and calling it progress. You've been trained to apologize for existing, to fund emotional labor, like it's a subscription service, and to stay silent while your sons are alienated, your speech policed, and your rights erased in family court. But here's the truth no one will tell you. 15 to 20% of men are raising genetic strangers, Bellis et al. 2005, and the system protects the lie. Why? Because the myth of female purity is the foundation of genocentric control. Break that and the whole cathedral crumbles. So let's burn it down, not with rage, but with logic, with truth, with the unflinching eye of the trivium. Grammar to name the beast, logic to dismantle it, rhetoric to slay it in public. This isn't about hating women, it's about seeing them, and more importantly, seeing yourself. not as a servant, not as a provider, but as a sovereign man. The kind who, when asked what he'd do with one day left to live, doesn't say make up with my ex. He says I'd climb K2 and laugh into the void. Because you were born to create, to conquer, to build, not to beg for affection from a creature evolution designed to discard you the moment a better option walks by. You're not broken. The world is, and it's time to fix it, starting with you, catastrophe of the false self. He who has a why to live can bear almost anyhow. Nietzsche said that, and he wasn't wrong. But what Nietzsche didn't say, and what every red-pilled man now knows, is that when your why is a woman's approval, you've already lost. I learned this the hard way. I texted a woman for 3 weeks. Polite, funny, consistent. Her replies, a month apart, one-word responses buried under layers of passive aggression. So I stopped, not out of spite, out of self-respect. Then, out of nowhere, she pops up, busy? I reply, living. She responds instantly, not because she missed me, but because indifference termites the foundation of her control. You see, women don't want attention. They want earned attention, and when you give it freely, like a beggar tossing scraps to a stray dog, you're not a man. You're a trained pet. The moment I stopped performing, she tested me, and I passed because real men don't beg for scraps from a table they built. Let's talk about the nice guy. You know the type, buys flowers, listens to her sob story about her ex who ghosted her while she's ghosting 3 other guys. He validates her trauma, pays for dinner, and gets nothing but a vague "let's hang soon" before vanishing into the digital void. Meanwhile, the emotionally detached guy, the one who doesn't text back for 2 days, shows up late, and laughs when she tries to guilt trip him, gets sex, loyalty, and long-term attention. Why? Because nature isn't fair, it's efficient. It rewards authenticity, not appeasement. The nice guy isn't kind. He's insecure. His kindness is a transaction. I'll be nice so you won't leave me. That's not love. That's emotional blackmail disguised as virtue. The bad boy, he doesn't need her, and that's why she needs him. It's not magic. It's evolutionary biology. Women are hypergamous. They seek status, strength, and certainty. The nice guy offers uncertainty. He's always guessing, always adjusting, always performing. The bad boy offers certainty. He knows who he is, and that's intoxicating. Here's a fact. Men who report the highest life satisfaction aren't the ones with the hottest girlfriends or the most Instagram likes. They're the ones building legacy. The Gallup World Poll in 2023 found that men who prioritize mastery, meaning, and long-term contribution to society, think scientists, craftsmen, soldiers. Artists report significantly higher well-being than those chasing short-term validation. But the feminist machine doesn't want you building legacy. It wants you chasing her. It wants you dependent. It wants you small. Because a man focused on legacy doesn't need a woman's approval. And that's dangerous to her and to the entire genocentric matrix. Feminist ideology attacks every level of the masculine value hierarchy. Survival men are disposable. Competence, toxic masculinity, autonomy, you're oppressed by your privilege. And legacy, your history is colonialist rape culture. It's not accidental, it's strategic. They're dismantling the male psyche one buzzword at a time. Jacques Derrida's deconstruction of metaphysics sounds fancy until you realize it's just intellectualized nihilism. He claims truth, beauty, and goodness are social constructs. That's the academic version of nothing matters. And that's exactly what feminist ideologues want. Because if nothing matters, then female manipulation isn't evil. It's just different ways of knowing. If truth is relative, then a woman lying about paternity isn't a crime. It's her truth. This is the Trojan horse of postmodernism. It doesn't free people, it enslaves them. It leaves men floating in a moral vacuum where effort is mocked, virtue is pathologized, and strength is labeled oppression. Meanwhile, gender studies departments, funded by your tax dollars, teach that masculinity is a violent social construct, while female hypergamy, emotional manipulation, and serial monogamy are never deconstructed, never questioned, never held to account. Why? Because the entire system is rigged to protect her, not you. I'll give you a test. Ask a man what he'd do if he had one day left to live. Most say, spend time with family, tell people I love them, watch the sunset. Noble? Sure, but reactive. Now ask a high-value man. He says, climb a mountain, write my manifesto, die on my feet. The difference? One is reactive, defined by relationships. The other is proactive, defined by purpose. The modern man is trained to wear masks, the provider mask, the pacifier mask, the emotional servant mask. He pleases his boss, his government, and most of all her. But this isn't virtue, it's servitude. And servitude is not masculinity, it's castration. The man who pretends to be busy when she ghosts him isn't lying, he's filtering. He's saying, if you want me, you'll have to earn it. And if she comes back, she's not returning out of love. She's returning because she tested his value and found it unshaken. Train yourself to respond to female avoidance with strategic silence. Let her initiate. Let her invest, reward only high-effort behavior. If she texts, hey, don't reply. If she plans a date, shows up on time, and pays for half, reply, engage, invest. But don't chase ghosts, don't beg for crumbs. Because every time you chase, you confirm you're replaceable, and you're not. You are the product of 4 billion years of evolution, the heir to Socrates, Caesar, and Tesla. You are not a dopamine dispenser for a woman with daddy issues. You are not a wallet with a pulse. You are a sovereign being. And the moment you act like one, the world shifts. Not because the world is fair, but because you are no longer playing by their rules. I used to believe the stories hook, line, and sinker. I thought women were victims in need of protection, that feminism was about equality, that our institutions existed to serve justice. Then I started counting the bodies. Not literal corpses, though those exist too, men driven to suicide after false allegations, careers incinerated over hearsay, fathers erased from their children's lives by a family court system that treats men like disposable sperm donors. No, the bodies I speak of are reputational, emotional, spiritual. I watched a generation of men kneel, apologize, self-censor, and still get crucified. And I ask, what if the system isn't broken? What if it's working exactly as designed? The lie of female victimhood. He didn't even touch me, but I felt violated. That was the phrase that shattered the illusion for me. Not because it's uncommon, no. It's now the default chorus of contemporary grievance, but because it was applauded. I saw a woman speak those words on live TV, met with a standing ovation from a crowd of teary, affirming women. And in that instant, it hit me. This isn't about fairness. This is alchemy, the transformation of perception into accusation, sentiment into proof, and men into ritual offerings for the shrine of female fury. The Me Too moment wasn't aimed at halting abusers. It was about granting any woman the license to leverage uncertainty, turn male courtesy into a trap, and destroy reputations with a murmur. Brett Kavanaugh didn't face a hearing, he faced a public execution. The Senate didn't assess testimony, it absorbed theater. And every man watching grasped the warning, your future hinges on a woman's recollection, emotion, or grudge. Fair procedure. That's a discarded relic of male-dominated systems. Today we operate on emotion-driven judgment, where a woman's claim is treated as unquestionable truth, and men must submit or be erased. Let's talk numbers, because reality doesn't care about your safe space. According to Pew Research in 2022, 42% of women admit they've used financial dependency to control a man. Think about that. Less than half openly confess to economic manipulation, and that's just those who will admit it. These women aren't struggling victims, they're predators with spreadsheets. They'll say they can't afford rent, then post vacation photos in Bali. They'll cry about being overworked, then spend 3 hours on TikTok editing their aura and the man he pays. Not because he's rich, but because he's trained. From childhood, we're taught that a real man provides, but no one told us that provision is now the leash. You don't marry her, you fund her, no contract, no accountability. Just endless emotional blackmail disguised as love. You become a walking ATM with a pulse, expected to smile while she drains your account and your soul. And if you dare to say no, you're toxic, you're selfish. You're not a real man. The emotional hostage situation is complete. Now go back to ancient Rome. Roman women couldn't vote, they couldn't hold office, but guess what? They could be executed for adultery. They had responsibilities, they were expected to bear children, manage households, and uphold pudicitia, modesty, honor, sexual virtue. If they failed, they were cast out. Today, women have every right and zero accountability. They can sleep around, abort on demand, drain men financially, lie about paternity, and yet still claim victim status. They get 80% of custody, 90% of social services, and 100% of the emotional labor from men. Oppression doesn't pay this well. If this is oppression, sign me up for the next oppressed group. I hear they get free therapy, priority housing, and public apologies just for existing. Turn on any prestige TV drama. The Morning Show, Big Little Lies. Fleabag, watch how they frame female behavior. A woman screams, breaks furniture, lies to her husband, sleeps with her boss, and it's called complexity. She's damaged, strong, resilient. But if a man raises his voice, he's toxic. If he sets a boundary, emotionally unavailable. If he works 60 hours a week to support his family, absent. The media doesn't just favor women, it worships female dysfunction while pathologizing male competence. This isn't storytelling. It's ideological sabotage. It's designed to make men feel guilty for succeeding and women feel righteous for destroying. I call it the victim-exploiter loop. Women are raised from childhood to see themselves as victims. Not of actual oppression, but of men's existence. A man looks at her. Harassment. Doesn't look, invisible. Talks to her. Creep. Doesn't talk, cold. This victim identity triggers the male protection instinct, hardwired from evolution. We want to fix, provide, shield, but instead of gratitude, we get escalation. The more we give, the more she demands. The more she demands, the more oppressed she feels. And the more oppressed she feels, the more she exploits us to prove it. It's a Ponzi scheme of the soul. The returns are fake, the pain is real, and the only exit is default. And here's the punchline. Women file for 60 to 70% of divorces. National Center for Health Statistics verify it. Yet, in mainstream narratives, men are cast as stray partners, irresponsible figures, or emotionally underdeveloped. Fathers lose custody, lose property, lose income, and institutions label it fairness. But when a woman walks out on her marriage and children, she's discovering who she is. She's claiming independence. The mental contradiction is deliberately constructed. It's upheld by the Feminist Hegemony Network, a coalition of universities, entertainment, legal systems, and counseling fields that frames female hardship as profound and male hardship as negligible. This network trains women to turn emotional openness into leverage, then brands its strength. It backs research that pins every societal issue from environmental shifts to digestive problems on men, while overlooking that women choose abortion in 93% of Down syndrome cases, as if impairment only matters when it threatens a man's lineage. So here's your survival guide. Stop funding women unless you're married or in a legally binding reciprocal agreement. No more loans that vanish like mist. No more gifts with strings. No more paying for dinners, trips, or therapy sessions with the hope of sex or love. You are not a charity. You're not her father. You are not her therapist. If she can't afford rent, let her not afford rent. If she's broke, let her be broke. Break the cycle. The financial bind is the trap, and the trap is designed to turn you into a slave. Every dollar you give without commitment is a nail in your coffin. And if you still doubt, ask yourself, why does no one talk about the 3% false rape accusation rate being higher than the false conviction rate for murder? Why do we lock men up for saying the wrong thing online, but let women lie about paternity with zero consequences? Why are men 80% of suicides, 90% of workplace deaths, and 100% of the draft, but still called the privileged class? Because the narrative isn't about truth, it's about power. And the current power structure is run by women for women against men. Wake up, opt out, save yourself. The revolution won't be televised. It'll be lived one man at a time who refuses to play the fool. I've seen this pattern repeat so often it's no longer anecdotal. It's epidemiological. I used to believe emotional investment was reciprocal, that listening built trust, that care was met with care. Then I watched good men vanish into depression, isolation, or worse, while the women they supported moved on without a trace of guilt, often to men who offered nothing but status or wealth. That's when it hit me. For many women, emotional labor isn't a shared currency, it's a resource to extract, and men who give freely are not cherished, they're consumed. The death of men by emotional parasitism. I once watched a man spend 6 years emotionally propping up his girlfriend, listening to her cry over every minor slight, rearranging his schedule to comfort her, absorbing her rage when she didn't get her way. Only to be dumped for a guy who owned a Tesla and didn't ask about her trauma history. She called him smothering, he called it love. She got exactly what she needed, emotional labor. He got nothing but silence and a slow bleed out of self-respect. This isn't heartbreak, this is predation, and it's happening at scale. Men are being farmed for emotional output like cattle in a feedlot, only to be culled when the yield drops. You think I'm exaggerating? Look at the data. Men are 3.5 times more likely to die by suicide than women, CDC 2023, yet receive less than 1/10 of mental health funding targeted at emotional wellness. Why? Because society treats male suffering like a design flaw, not a crisis. We fund women's emotional safety spaces while mocking men who break under pressure. We pathologize male stoicism as repression, but glorify female emotional volatility as authenticity. This isn't compassion, it's systemic bias dressed up as progress. I've seen the same script play out in dozens of men's lives. The woman who says, "I'm so stressed," not as a cry for help, but as a demand for extraction. She expects hourly check-ins, demands emotional reassurance, and weaponizes silence when she doesn't get it. When her partner finally sets a boundary, "I need space," she flips the script, "You're controlling. You don't care." This is gaslighting with a smile. It's not love, it's emotional vampirism, and men keep falling for it because we've been brainwashed into believing that love means service, not sovereignty. Feminism didn't liberate women from oppression, it liberated them from reciprocity. Now, emotional labor is a one-way street with men paying the toll. I call it the emotional debt trap. Women accumulate emotional capital, your attention, your empathy, your time, then discard you once the account is full. It's not betrayal, it's balance sheet logic. You weren't dumped for being too much. You were dumped for being fully used. You want proof this is systemic. Look at the research. Women engage in sad fishing, feigning emotional distress to extract attention, 3 times more than men. Journal of Social Psychology, 2021. They post, "I'm not okay" stories at 2 a.m., knowing full well some man will rush in with concern. And he does. Why? Because evolution wired men to protect. But in the modern world, that wiring is being exploited by women who've learned that vulnerability is power. They don't need to be in real danger, they just need to perform it. And men conditioned by decades of feminist propaganda respond like trained pigeons hitting a lever for crumbs. Be sensitive, they're told. Share your feelings. Meanwhile, women who date sensitive men often end up mocking them behind closed doors. They don't want vulnerability, they want dominance. They want a man who is strong, decisive, unshakable, who only opens up on his terms, not hers. A man who cries when he chooses, not when she demands. That's the man she respects, not the one who folds under her emotional weight. This isn't about hating women. It's about recognizing behavioral patterns. The emotional parasite life cycle is real: attraction, dependency, exploitation, discard. First, she draws you in with charm and need. Then she makes you indispensable. "I can't function without you." Then she drains you emotionally, financially, spiritually until you're hollow. And when you finally crack, she calls you toxic and walks away, often to someone richer or more dominant. Sound familiar? It should. It's the plot of every divorce case in family court, where women initiate 70% of divorces, CDC 2020, and walk away with the kids, the house, and spousal support, while the man is left with debt and silence. And if he resists, he gets arrested for controlling behavior just for asking to see his children. The system isn't broken. It's working exactly as designed, to extract from men and protect female agency at all costs. We've been sold a lie that emotional openness makes you strong, but for men, it's often the first step toward enslavement. Stoicism and Christianity both teach self-mastery, endure, overcome, lead. But modern feminized religion, it preaches emotional outsourcing, just talk about your feelings. For men, that's spiritual castration. It turns warriors into therapists. It turns leaders into listeners. And it makes men easy prey for women who weaponize empathy. You think I'm cynical? Look at the divorce rate. Look at male suicide. Look at the 17% of men who are unknowingly raising genetic strangers, Bellis et al., 2005 cuckoldry rate. These aren't anomalies, they're outcomes of a system that incentivizes female deception and male self-abnegation. The sensitive man is not the future, he's the sacrificial lamb. So what's the remedy? Audit your relationships. Who gives more, who drains? Cut the parasites ruthlessly. Replace emotional dependency with brotherhood, mission, and discipline. Train your body, master your craft. Build something real, because love isn't about giving everything. It's about earning respect through strength. And if a woman can't handle that, she doesn't deserve you. The West wasn't built by men who cried on demand. It was built by men who stood in the breach, silent, resolute, unbroken. That's the standard. That's the truth. And it's time we lived by it again. They called me dangerous because I said what every man knows, but no one dares speak. Women weaponize victimhood. I didn't invent this truth. Biology did. History did. Every man who's been falsely accused, financially ruined, emotionally bled out by a woman who played the martyr knows it in his bones. I just pointed at the monster and said its name. That's why they came for me, not because I lied, but because I refused to lie with them. That's the real crime in the age of woke, telling the truth about who holds the knife, the rebirth of manhood. When 60 Minutes ran a hit piece on me, calling me a misogynist for saying women lie about rape, I laughed, because the truth is the ultimate slander in a world built on lies. They banned me from every platform not because I harmed anyone, but because I named the unnameable. Women lie. DNA evidence shows 30 to 50% of rape accusations are false. Higher in campus tribunals where there's no standard of proof, yet we lock men up like animals on hearsay. Sweden, the feminist paradise, has one of the highest false accusation rates and the highest male suicide rates in Europe. Coincidence? No. It's cause and effect. When you criminalize masculinity and sanctify female emotion, you don't get equality, you get mass graves of broken men. I was raised by a single mother and had no father until I was 11. That gap nearly ruined me. The Harvard Men's Study, the longest running study on human development, found men raised with strong father figures are 40% less likely to suffer depression and 50% more likely to succeed financially. But go to any inner city, look at the schools, the prisons, the ERs, what's missing? Fathers, not programs, not welfare. Fathers, feminists scream about toxic masculinity, but where are the female school shooters? Where are the female warlords? Where are the female serial killers? The FBI's uniform crime reports show males commit 97% of violent crime. Women, they destroy quietly through divorce fraud, false allegations, emotional blackmail, and state-backed asset stripping in family court. That's not toxic masculinity, that's toxic femininity, and it's protected by law, media, and religion. Sweden calls itself progressive, but it's a dystopia. Male suicide rates have skyrocketed as fathers' rights vanish. Men are now arrested for saying dad in public schools. In 2022, a Swedish father was fined for refusing to use a child's preferred pronouns, pronouns invented by adults to confuse children. Meanwhile, Japan and Germany, nations with high male engagement, strong paternity norms, and real work lead in innovation, life expectancy, and social stability. Why? Because men build, women consume. And when you feminize a culture, you don't get peace, you get decay. Athens gave us Plato and Sophocles. Sparta gave us Leonidas and discipline. But when both civilizations weakened their men, when they let sentiment override strength, they fell. Rome didn't fall to barbarians, it fell to luxury, weakness, and the emasculation of its citizens. Sound familiar? I've been banned, deplatformed, and labeled a hate figure for saying men should lead, protect, and provide. But ask yourself, what civilization was ever built by committees of crying women demanding safe spaces? None. The pyramids weren't built by HR departments. The US Constitution wasn't drafted by gender studies majors. The Apollo missions didn't launch because NASA held a feelings circle. Greatness comes from men who master themselves through discipline, logic, and action. That's the androcentric restoration. Not domination, but self-sovereignty. Train daily, lift weights. Read Marcus Aurelius. Build a business. Own nothing but your word. The manhood pyramid stands on 3 levels. Discipline at the base, without it, nothing follows. Competence in the middle, skills that produce value. Legacy at the peak, what you leave behind. No shortcuts, no participation trophies, just truth. Christ was not a hippie with long hair who hugged trees. He was a carpenter, a man of labor who drove moneylenders out of the temple with a whip, he said. Render unto Caesar what is Caesar's, a man who sets boundaries. He didn't apologize, he didn't coddle, he acted. That's masculinity, not rage, not oppression, responsibility. Feminists call male leadership patriarchy, but patriarchy built cathedrals, cured diseases, and put men on the moon. Matriarchy builds divorce courts and suicide clinics. Wake up. You are not here to serve women. You are here to build, lead, protect, and transcend. The world doesn't need more beta orbiters. It needs men who stand not in defiance, but in truth. I am not here to comfort you. I am here to wake you. You've been lied to your entire life by schools that call weakness virtue, by churches that preach emotional neutering as holiness, by women who weaponize tears like landmines in a war you didn't know you were losing. You gave your time, your money, your loyalty, and what did you get? A pat on the head and a ghosting. You thought love meant sacrifice. It doesn't. Love is not servitude, it is sovereignty. And you are not a servant, you are a builder, a warrior, a thinker, and if you've made it this far, you've already begun the revolt. Let's be direct. Half of all marriages dissolve, and in 7 out of 10 cases, she initiates the split. Do you call that unfair treatment? Try this instead. Being financially gutted by a legal system that automatically gives mothers custody of nearly 8 out of 10 kids, even when the dad shows up, holds down a job, and wants in. Try being hauled in for coercive conduct just for asking why your partner suddenly needs solo retreats with her squad, while she empties your savings and labels it healing. Try being branded harmful for saying no, while she bends the truth, breaks trust, and turns fragility into a weapon like a pro. And here's the real twist. You still blame yourself. That's not remorse, that's conditioning. You know what's not a social construct. Sperm, eggs, biology. Men die younger. Men commit 97% of combat deaths. Men make up 93% of workplace fatalities. And yet, women get 90% of mental health funding. Why? Because the system rewards victimhood, and you've been taught to wear your suffering like a cheap suit, silent and shameful. Meanwhile, she posts on Instagram, healing my inner child. You're out there working a second job just to keep the lights on in a house she'll soon kick you out of, and you're the one labeled emotionally stunted. I don't care if you're religious, atheist, or just tired. The truth is the truth. Civilizations rise by masculine virtue and fall by feminine excess. Look at Rome, look at Athens, look at Sweden. When men stop building and start pleasing, the rot sets in, and it's not just culture, it's your life. You want meaning, then stop chasing women who treat you like an ATM with a pulse. Build something that outlives you. Lift weights, read Seneca. Learn to shoot, sail, write, lead, and when she says, I need space, give it to her forever. Let her orbit back, then test her, demand effort. Reward only action, you are not a doormat. You are a fortress, you've read this, you've felt it. That fire in your chest, that's not anger. That's awakening. You are not broken. You were betrayed. But now you see, and seeing is the first act of rebellion. Now go. Speak. Share. Build. The red pill isn't a pill, it's a war cry. And the front lines are in your inbox, your bedroom, your courtroom, your soul. Wake up. Stand Up Live. And now the sponsored book introduction, Chaos Creators, Women's External Blame Game. I remember sitting in court, stripped of everything I built. She took the house, the kids, half my income. Why? Because I played by her rules without knowing the game. That day, I realized men like us are being broken by a system rigged against us. This book is my battle cry against that destruction. It's born from my own wreckage, divorce wars, false accusations, and years of walking on eggshells while being called toxic for breathing. If you've ever felt like a disposable pawn in her chaos, you're not crazy. You're just unarmed. Women's behavior isn't random. It's biology in action. Their hypergamous instincts mark you as prey. Their shit tests, that's them probing for weakness, like a lioness sizing up wounded gazelles. And feminism, just a society-sized shit test dressing up control as progress. I'll show you how their hormonal swings create weather systems in her skull, why they dodge accountability with responsibility rejection engines, and how their double standard machinery turns your logic into their ammunition. This isn't hate, it's evolutionary psychology stripped bare. David Buss's data and biblical truth back every word. Inside, you'll get the keys to survive. Learn to spot hypergamy targeting before she replaces you. Shut down shit test armories without becoming her villain. Escape simp traps by building real value. We'll dissect state-sponsored hunting grounds, courts that side with her lies, taxes that fund her victimhood. I'll expose how Kaus export protocols make men foot the bill for their irresponsibility. No fluff. Just field-tested tactics from the locker room of life, forged in my own fights and backed by cold, hard science. This book is for real men drowning in blue-pill delusion, the beta, simps, and manginas tired of being collateral damage in her war. If you're ready to leave weakness behind and lead, this is your arsenal. But if you're a male feminist, cultural Marxist, or any simp still chanting believe all women, put this down now. Go knit a sweater. Watch daytime TV. This truth will shatter your fairy tales, and I won't waste ink on the willfully blind. What I offer isn't theory, it's your lifeline. You'll reclaim power from pain conversion laboratories, dodge cuckoldry traps, and torch feminist lies with logic. The chapters ahead, like Eden's betrayal and deprogramming blue pill delusions, will arm you with unshakable reality. Stop begging for scraps at her table. It's time to win your life back. Chaos Creators, Women's External Blame Game, written by Conrad Riker. Buy now, links in description.